Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video and the second video on the channel today. It will be the second of 3 videos as I will be back later on tonight for my instant reaction following the Newcastle versus Tranmere game at 7:45. I've literally just finished getting ready. I'm going to head out, find a pub, watch that game and hopefully we'll be smiling later on today, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. Do not miss my instant reaction later on. But I had to jump on before I went out and talk a little bit more about what is hopefully very soon going to be Newcastle's highest ever transfer player, breaking our transfer record fee for this guy, Alexander Isak, or Isak. The Sweden international striker from Real Sociedad. Obviously, it's broken today that Newcastle are going to pay around 60 million for this guy. And it's understood that we are still in for João Pedro as well. That deal has not gone away. We are seriously pushing the boat out right now. The understanding was that Newcastle's transfer policy this summer was not going to be to spend a huge sum on a singular player. They were going to try and kind of move the money around a little bit, try and make it spread as far as it can. But you've got to think, or I think, we're still waiting to hear on Callum Wilson's injury. I think it could be bad news. We'll have to wait and see, but we've really turned on a sixpence and gone, right, screw it. Let's spend the money. Let's go against pretty much what we've said all summer window, which was that we weren't going to lump money on to a single player. I'm glad we are. I'm glad we are. If you think about how good we were against Manchester City, if we can just add, 2, 3 extra players to this squad, what could we potentially go and do this season? And as I say, we're in a cup game later on. Touch wood. I'm setting myself up for a fall here, aren't I, by talking about a cup game so close. If we can get through tonight, I'd love to see a cup run as well. If you're watching this later on and we lost against Tranmere, well, first of all, well done Tranmere, and second of all, that's why we need to be buying players like Alexander Isak. We need to be taking a step in the right direction. And as I say, I did a video on this earlier on today, but so much is changing by the hour. It's now being reported by Sky Sports. First of all, it was actually reported by The Times, I think, if I got that right, who actually reported that Dan Ashworth actually made his way out to Sweden originally to meet Isak and his family at his home. That's where he's from, to discuss the transfer. But as of right now, it's being reported through multiple sources. I'm pretty sure The Times, Sky Sports are understood that Dan Ashworth is actually out in Spain right now with Alexander Isak, trying to get this deal done. So as we've seen with previous signings, quite often conversations will take place, but the player will then travel to the training ground or eventually St James's Park to get the photos taken. Well, as we saw with the Bruno one, in fact, where Newcastle representatives actually went out to Brazil, where, was it? Yes, it was Brazil. I was going to say he was on international duty at the time. I don't think they were playing in Brazil, but I'm pretty sure the documents got signed in Brazil. But anyway, Dan Ashworth is actually out in Spain right now. It's being reported with Alexander Isak, with his representatives, trying to get this deal done and dusted. So although it could be a day or two before we potentially see him arrive in Newcastle to obviously have medicals done, get the photos with the shirt, get those very final signatures down, but it's understood that Dan Ashworth is out there with him right now trying to get this one done, which is madness. It's moving along so quickly. From the reports flying out around lunchtime today, more and more news is coming through by the minute, and as I say, in theory, Dan Ashworth could have this all signed, sealed and delivered by later on today. So we could in theory have announcements coming out after the game tonight or maybe tomorrow, before he's even managed to get to Newcastle, to get the strip on, to get his medical. We could have potentially have got this, done very quickly. And for Real Sociedad, it will be their Their highest ever transfer as well. To let a player go for that amount of money is a massive deal for that La Liga side. And I've no doubt they are going to want to try and be as careful as possible and get this one over the line. The amount of money that they will be bringing in from Isak is huge. As I say, it's rumoured around 60 million, 65 million euros plus 5 million euros in add-ons. There's no doubt they're going to be wanting to make sure that they can get this one over the line as well. You know, it's not just Newcastle who are in there trying to get his signature. They will be wanting to make sure that this gets done as well. They're going to want their money. They obviously put a big asking price on this guy for a good reason. He's a very young, talented player who, as I say, I mean the Euros, wasn't it, when he showed off his talent a few years ago now. And ever since then, he's kind of been on the radar for a number of teams. And as I say, Newcastle were interested in him earlier in this window, have gone back in, and they've paid the money. And I just can't wait to see what happens with this one now. I'm really hoping this gets done. I'm really hoping that the João Pedro one isn't over as well. Can you imagine? Because that's the thing. And, you know, Eddie Howe knows what he's doing. He's bringing in players who can play kind of all around that front three. You know, we talk about wanting to bring in a replacement, some understudy or even competition or replacement for Callum Wilson, depending on his injury. You know, João Pedro and Isak aren't necessarily out-and-out strikers. We could, in theory, play one to the left, one to the right. Isak actually does do quite well coming down the left and cutting in. He's got phenomenal link-up play. He's for 6'4". He's got a great burst of pace on him as well. We're really trying to nail down this type of player that we've been looking for all summer. And in theory, we could have St. Max, Wilson and Isak all on the pitch together. Or St. Max, Isak, João Pedro. That sounds a lot better, doesn't it? I say it sounds a lot better. It sounds good, doesn't it? Especially when we, again, talk about the Manchester City game. Our lack of options from the bench. Imagine having some of these guys being able to come on, especially with the now 5 substitutions a game. What's going to be a very, very tight season. I mean, we've got 3 games this week. Man City, Tranmere, Wolves. That's 3 games in a week. And at the moment, really, you know, Callum Wilson up front, and then it's Chris Wood. Like, that's out of options after that. We need to add more to that position, but generally to our attacking flow, full stop. So, yes, the latest news is Dan Ashworth is out there in Spain with Isak, trying to get this sealed, done and dusted. I'm hoping we can get an announcement really quickly. I'm hoping we can see him in Newcastle as quickly as tomorrow or the day after. Get that medical done, get that signed. Let's move on. Let's get Pedro done. And what it sounds like, I mentioned this earlier, Paqueta being linked with West Ham isn't great news. We're being heavily linked, however, with the Chelsea loanees. It appears that Conor Gallagher is the one that we're holding out for. So it'll be very interesting to see how we get on with that as well. So let me know your thoughts on Isak down in the comments below. Do you think we will still go in for Pedro? Do you think that Dan Ashworth is the man who is going to get this deal signed while out in Spain before he's even been over at Newcastle? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. As I say, I will be back for my reactions later on following the Tranmere game. So if you're not subscribed, hit that big red button. Do not miss the videos later on. And I've just got a feeling this is what it's going to be like for the rest of the transfer window. Lots of videos going on, lots to talk about, lots of transfer news. So hit that big red button. Do not miss out. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll catch you later.